Welcome to the importance and power of reading. I'm Michelle, the computer lady, your host. During some awful dark times in America, Black people were denied the ability to read, to learn how to read, to write, or to even own books. And that has hampered our communities up until this day. Now we're going to have important conversations about the importance and power of reading. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today for this episode on the importance and power of reading. Today, I have a phenomenal guest. He's from Texas, and his name is Michael Guinn. He is multifaceted and very diverse, and we're going to have an awesome time as we discuss the power and the importance of reading. Hi, Michael. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hey, how's it going?
Awesome. Do me a favor and tell the folks out there some things about you and what you do and how you make a positive impact on our communities.
Well, my name is Michael Guinn. I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area here in Texas. And what I do to make a positive influence on my community is I host and coordinate tons of open mics and create platforms, workshops, anything has to do with literary arts. And I hold those events and make them where everybody can come. There's all inclusive and they're very, very, very respectful, safe, and supportive atmosphere. So that's what I do for the most part.
Awesome. So what do you do in your occupation?
My occupation, I'm a full-time social worker and part-time, almost full-time actor, speaker, and MC. So that's what I do.
Oh, that's amazing. Now, as we get into our questions, because you're a man that does many things, you're multi-talented. What I want to address now is why reading is important. And so let's get into it. Now,
Well,
first thing, did you like reading as a child? Did you struggle? If so, how did you overcome it?
I loved reading as a child. I did not struggle. There was nothing that I wouldn't try to read. If I could have read earlier, I would have. But yeah, around about 3 years old, I started reading, and it just picked up. So reading became essentially, in cliche, fundamental for me.
That is awesome. So, in your reading journey, who were your major influences? Were it mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, aunts, uncles, or did you have a mentor?
You know what? I didn't have a mentor. I would have to say it had to be grandma because the main book you already know was the Bible. And then after that, I discovered Dr. Seuss, Sam I Am, and all that good stuff, And then I, started as I got older, I got into the Westerns and then, of course, the Black authors, you know what I'm saying? So that's how that worked.
That is absolutely wonderful. So you said you started reading at age 3.
Mhm.
What was the impetus? What got you interested in reading at such a young age?
Well, I had older brothers and they were reading. And of course, we would go to vacation Bible school and, it was, if there was a push to read and I just wanted to know what was going on and what was being said. And I was interested very early. So I picked up on reading very, very early. I don't know. It just seemed like the thing I needed to do to express myself and to find out what was going on in the world.
Hey, so tell me and tell our audience, what were your favorite books as a child and what's your favorite book as an adult?
My favorite book as a child, very early, was Dr. Seuss's Sam I Am. There it is right there. You already know. And of course, my favorite book as going as an adult would be, it still have to be the Bible. It's a very interesting read. But then, of course, I branched off into, Westerns and any Black author and a lot of poetry books. And so, yeah, but it started with Sam I Am. And then after that, we rose.
All right, so we got green eggs and ham, Sam I Am.
All that.
Now, and then we have the Bible.
Mhm.
What are you reading today? What authors are you reading like right in this pivotal moment?
I am reading. So I am actually a voting member of the NAACP Image Awards, and so they send me books every year to read, and most of them are poetry books, spoken word books from Black people and people of color. So I'm reading everything from Rita Dove to Sonia Sanchez to everything. I've just got, they send me like maybe 40, 50 books. I read them to review and vote. Of course, last week we did the NAACP Image Awards in Los Angeles. But now that the voting is over, I'm actually reading those books instead of perusing them to make for reviewing them. I'm actually enjoying them. So it's so many different books, so many different authors. I just can't say.
Okay. But my thing is to our audience, young men, young adolescents, are there any in particular that you would recommend?
You know what? I would. There's a book by James Baldwin that any book by James Baldwin that is very interesting. I'm a big fan of Toni Morrison. I love her writing. Obviously, let's see. There's Jericho Brown. Just so many. But if I were gonna suggest anything for poetry fans, it would be Jericho Brown. If you're a fan of finding out what your history about what your history is about, I would focus on James Baldwin and anything that has to do with that period where we really find out and come into our own as African Americans. So any book in that period.
Well, thank you so much for that. Now, as an educator, because you're a social worker, but you're still an educator and a professional, how has reading helped and shaped your career?
Well, started out as a CPS investigator, um, reading reports and then comprehending, those reports and then going out and utilizing what I've read, not as a filter to what I see, but as a kind of a benchmark to know how to address certain situations. So reading and understanding before I go out and make contact with families has been very important. Of course, that branched off into actually starting to write myself and utilize that writing in two ways. One, to express myself, and one, to heal myself. So and then of course learning to read me, just read myself and know myself and read situations. And so reading can be, very figurative, but also very literal in that sense.
Okay. So, do you have children, Mike?
I do. I have three,
All right. How many boys, how many girls?
two boys, one girl.
So, as a parent, do you think having books in your home for kids to read and access is important, and also having discussions and knowing how they comprehend information?
It is very important and very vital to have books. It facilitates it. In other words, if you have books and have literary arts in your home, without saying it, it's almost like, okay, there are books. That means people read in this house. So that's how that's interpreted. And of course, there's a love for that. I guess because of DNA, there's a love for reading. My oldest son is a musician, so he writes music. He's a songwriter as well. My youngest son, he's now in college. He's studying to become a police officer. And then, of course, my daughter is the poet. She's 19, so she's the poet. So all of that, having books and being surrounded by that really was important, and it's important for people to help understand it and express themselves. It really has helped them as well.
That is absolutely amazing. Now, did you always model reading for your children? Did you read to them and with them?
I did not always model reading that way, but there were times that I did. My daughter mainly, because we would always, I'd read a story or I'd read a poem or I'd, share something, or she would ask me for something and I would make sure I could interpret it for her, and often that meant reading. For my son, my youngest son, same thing with him. When he was young, I would read and write to him, and he understood how important that was for me to use it as a tool of self-expression, especially from man to male child. It's good to have many avenues of communication so that there's no misinterpretation about what is being said and what is meant. So that's pretty much been what we focused on doing in our house for the most part.
That is awesome. Now, I have to ask, as a parent, as a social worker, as a professional, what do you think the state of literacy is in our communities when it comes to reading among our children, our adolescents, and our adults?
Now, this is not an indictment on social media or cell phones or all the other things like TikTok, but I would say literacy in some pockets of the community is in dire straits. There's not a high value placed on that, especially when information is so readily available, via videos and skits and YouTube and all this other stuff. So uh, thank God for libraries still pushing through. Thank God for library media arts in these high schools that are finding creative ways. They get people like me and you to come, and they see our passion for it. So it's almost like it's being revitalized, but it is going uphill, unfortunately. But yeah, it's very important to have literary arts be something that is pushed and groomed and valued and expressed in any way, because right now, unless we have categories and awards or other ways of celebrating creative and literary arts, it's not a big it's not a big push for it, and we need to keep it going.
That's absolutely correct. Michael, what we're going to do right now is we're going to take a small commercial break. Folks, you come back with us, and we're going to continue to discuss the importance and power of reading. Get this ebook right now at Cellbotics, and then you can learn to earn $10,000 a month. Scan the QR code for your copy right now. Thank you so much for coming back to the importance and power of reading. I have my wonderful guest with me, Mr. Michael Guinn, and he is a social worker from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. He's also a spoken word artist, and he's getting into acting, and he has a diverse set of a skill set that helps our communities. Now, we've been talking about the state of literacy, and within the state of literacy, some of the things that are going on is we're falling behind. So, Michael, not an indictment, but more so, how can we have suggestions for parents in order to elevate our communities by reading better, by reading more? What kind of things can you offer?
You know what we can offer parents is, and what I offer parents is a creative approach to building the appreciation for literary arts. Be creative. Let's not be cookie cutter in our approach. Let's not offer them an opportunity just to go to the library, but go to the library to do something exciting that's going to get them to understand, hey, this reading is not so bad. There's some value here. I can use this way. I can use this way. And our parents nowadays are younger and younger, and they're closer to that generation of folks where literary arts may have fell off a little bit for them. It wasn't pushed as much in their household. So it's up to us to find new and creative ways to make them see how important reading is in their lives and for the lives of the children in the next generation.
Well, see, you bring an awesome point. And the other thing is the books that you recommended, because one thing I know is if we don't know our history, we're doomed to repeat it.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about authors like Toni Morrison, and we talk about James Baldwin and Richard Wright and
Langston Hughes.
Langston Hughes, thank you. Those things give us that whole sense of who we are and our identity.
Right.
But we also have to speak to some of the things that are going on today.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those things are, number one, we're in a culture that people respect being dumb now instead of it being okay to be a nerd or be well read. How can we combat some of those things?
Yeah, we got to make reading and writing cool. We got to make it cool. We got to be smooth with it. And how you do that is you just have unique, ideas and of how you can, make that happen for these younger kids. Like for example, next week I have a workshop, and in that workshop it's called Speak, Laugh, Love. So what you do is that if you say, all right, we're gonna have a poetry workshop. Oh, we're gonna have a creative writing. They're like, oh my God, it's spring break. It's not school. So what you have to do is say, speak, laugh, love. You're still giving them that poetry, creative writing, but you're not. They're not coming in with this preconceived notion that it's gonna be another boring approach to poetry. And oh my God. So you have to find a way to kind of get in there, still give them that, just sprinkle a little life lessons, some fun, and then just once you get that momentum, once you gain their attention, don't lose it. Hold on to them, and out of some of that 45 to 60-minute session, they will see the value in what you presented.
Absolutely. And so, Michael, I hate to put you on the spot, but I have to because you're a performer. Can you just give us a small taste of some of the poetry that you perform, if that's okay with you?
Sure. I'll do that. I'm gonna send you my cash app. Anyway, I'm kidding. Anything for you, Michelle. All right, here's a small piece, y'all. It's a poem. So there's a difference between poetry and spoken word. All right, so here is an actual poem. It's called Wings. High up in a clear blue sky, I rise, soaring in symphonies, gliding upon an orchestra of freedom. Now, as I fly, I take a deep breath and taste the sun laughing in lemon drops while clouds smile soft candy cotton upon my face. And this moment becomes the sweetest memory I've ever known. Wings, don't fail me now. There you go.
That was amazing.
Little snippet.
And so the fact that you have such a command of language, a command of words, that speaks to how important, but also the power of reading. Because without being so well read, without knowing all this verbiage, this vernacular, you wouldn't be as successful as a spoken word artist or a poet, correct?
I wouldn't go that far either.
Now, you're also the father of boys and girls. But what I've noticed a lot is that typically our boys have a hard time quieting their minds. They have a hard time settling into reading. How can we, as a community, get behind our boys and help them read better, to grow in that thirst for knowledge that comes with reading, and also to make sure that they know that they're supported in their reading journey?
We have to make it a priority. We have to make time, as much time for that as we do sports. We spend all this time going to games. We spend all this money on uniforms and with travel, and we got the booster this and booster that, and got the rah-rah and the tailgating. We need to have a tailgate for a reading, just a reading, and celebrate that. They need to push them more towards UIL if they're in school. They have to push them more towards, you push them towards AAU when school is out. How about a AAI read when school is out? But you have to make that a priority, and then show up and support them. Don't just say, go to this reading club. No, go there. Oh, that's my baby. Just like you do if you scored the three-pointer. That's my baby. Oh my God, the way you use those similes. We have to celebrate reading and those accomplishments. It makes them feel good, and they're more apt to continue to do that because those endorphins are firing off. Oh, my mama loved when I said onomatopoeia. You know what I'm saying? So there you go. So we got to find a way. We have to make it a priority like we do everything else.
All right. So now we talk about priorities, and we talked about our boys reading more because statistically it says that little Johnny or little Hakeem, they're not reading. Well, what advice would you give to parents of both boys and girls to help them read better, to help them comprehend better? Do you have 3 or 4 ways that you can share with us today?
The main way is to read with them. Make it a routine. Every night, if it's not a passage from the Bible, I'm not saying it could be that, but every night read with them and then have them read what you just read by themselves. And then go to sleep with that last thought on their mind. That's the second thing. Read with them, but read it where it's the last thing, not the cell phone, the earbuds in the ear. Let that be it. Let them rest their mind and let that marinate, which they just did. And in the morning, when you wake up, have a eraser board, dry erase board there. Have up there, things to do for the day. Teach them planning. You have to be able to read to plan. There's a lot of ways you can teach and instill a love for reading and following instructions and comprehension. Simple things that you would do anyway. So even a little sticky notes on the refrigerator, that was a great way because you had to read it before you open the refrigerator. So just creative ways. That's all I'm saying. Creative ways.
I love these creative ways that you're incorporating and that you've incorporated and given our parents just these little suggestions on ways to help our children read better. Now, Michael, as you know, these broadcasts go really, really fast. We're going to take a small break. You're on the PIC TV network, and we'll be back after this commercial.
Since 1877, Jackson State University has been training students for a life of service and leadership to impact our global society. Ranked among the best HBCUs in the country, Jackson State University offers 47 undergraduate, 37 master's, 1 specialist, and 13 doctoral degree programs. Whether you're interested in the arts, education, public health, the sciences, or business, we're here to take you from ready to JSU ready. Visit jsums.edu and apply today.
Are you a company, business, or service that believes in social responsibility? I'm your host, Michelle, the Computer Lady.
Would you like to make a positive impact?
The most magnificent,
you can
the kindest, the greatest, poet and actor of all time, Michael Guinn.
Call 770.
And we're having fun as we have this discussion on the importance and power of reading today. Now, he gave us some ideas on how to engage our children on this reading journey. And so one thing I'm going to ask now, you know about STEM, and when we talk about STEM, we're talking about science, technology, engineering, and math.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, STEM is right now, and it's the future. You've heard about AI and coding and all this different technology. How can we get our boys and girls in our community more interested in learning STEM and gravitate to them to that thirst for knowledge? What are some little concrete ways that we can make them actualize that we use this every day, even though they might not think about it?
You know what? And I don't want to be, don't want to be this way, but a lot of times monetary motivation. So here's the deal. So you have a kid that has a cell phone, and I would tell that kid, which would you rather be? The person who's spending money buying the cell phone or the person that's getting rich making the cell phone? 1. 2, you have to make them and get them understand that, if you're going to have a future where you want to take care of your family, take care of yourself, that way you don't struggle, then you have to find another way to earn money. And so what are ways? 1, there's sports where not everybody goes pro. 2, there's other vocations. Some of them may not be as legal as we want them to be. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to risk your freedom. So why not spend time getting involved in graphic arts design or computer science or engineering? That a lot of times those things sound daunting to African Americans or kids in general. Engineering and sound nerdy. You know what I'm saying? So we have to find a way to make that cool. And there are a lot of STEM, courses and approaches here that we utilize to make that they even have camps, and they make it cool to know your stuff. So again, just find different approaches to make them see the value in knowing more as opposed to knowing less.
Well, those are excellent points. And I write STEM for children. And as a author of STEM books, the other thing is the everyday things. And those everyday things are, hey, when you get up in the morning to brush your teeth, you get a timer. Well, that timer, whether you use it on a phone or it was invented by somebody. So how would you like to invent something? Or let's talk about the STEAM aspect, arts. how to make a beautiful butterfly with watercolors. There's a whole science behind color.
Right.
So there are all these things that we can do. And Michael, I thank you for those ideas, because this lets our parents really become creative in how they can explore STEM with their children. The one thing about STEM is every occupation is tied to STEM, whether it's the sciences, whether it's technology, whether it's engineering and math. It is involved in our daily life. And you as a parent, what do you need to do? You need to think about the things that you do in STEM that you don't even realize, because that's going to bring it to the forefront to your child, and they can learn STEM as well. Now, as a parent, did any of your children struggle reading?
I didn't. I didn't. My kids didn't struggle reading. They did pretty good coming out the box. No, they didn't. And they had two supportive parents and dad who was very creative, and they saw how hard he worked to make sure that people understood his feelings and his emotions and what he was trying to say. They knew their dad was someone who worked with other children who had struggled or had parents who struggled, and they saw how hard he worked to ensure that they were safe. A lot of times having a safe atmosphere, a supportive atmosphere goes a long way. So my kids had that. They had that. And they had it whether they were with me or with their grandmother or with their mother or with their uncles, they had it. So a lot of times it's all about having safety and support in those environments.
All right. Now, you work as a social worker, and you see a lot of parents and children in your line of work.
I do.
How have you been able to change the narrative around our communities? And if you were talking to a parent today that you've been helping, how would you direct them to help their children read better or read more?
How I've done it, Michelle, in the past is that I've came from an approach of, this is us. I'm with you. We're together. Now, even though I'm here as a worker, even though I'm here on behalf of a referral I got about something not going right, this is how you keep them out of your business. You make sure your kid has food. You make sure your kid goes to school. If that kid messes up in school, you make sure you address that issue at school. And that automatically increases the support mechanism and the importance of, reading and education in your kid's life. They see you basically fighting for them to have something that they don't even know the value of yet. So yeah, that's what I do. I go, hey, y'all, listen, if you want to keep CPS or keep the people out of your business, take care of this, take care of this. I was never the kind of person that would go out and say, yeah, I see what's going on here. I think we might have to remove your child. No, I wanted to empower our parents, because why add another stressor that's going to take away from their ability to parent? They need steps themselves. They need support themselves. And as they get support and see that support keeps other people out of their business, then they increases the value of someone like me who was educated, who came and gave them the tea. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Now, we're talking about kids, but let's talk about parents. Do you find that parents that don't read also have children that don't read?
You and I both know that. Yes, that is a fact.
So how can we address the parents? Because for us, and this is just me reaching out to parents, it doesn't matter what you read. It can be the cereal box. It can be a magazine. It can be even a children's book.
Right.
As long as they see you read, it's
Mm-hmm.
going to help both you and them.
Right.
And so that's part of it. Because I have to speak right now to the literacy of our parents.
Right.
Because everything you do affects your child, whether that's good or bad. And on this reading journey, the journey is not just getting to the destination, but it's where books can take our children.
Right.
So as Michael is here, he is in a unique position to not only see, but he's been helping, as you can tell. Now, as a parent, how did you make sure that your children read well and they comprehended all the information from you and what was going on in our communities?
Whenever I had the chance, and what I would tell every parent to do is just be there, when you can, as much as you can, and show interest, even if it's just looking over their shoulder while they're reading. That's good, baby. Any affirmation that pushes them, that gives it importance. So that's what I would tell the parents, and even the parents who may struggle with reading, and and the child may even know that their mom or dad may not be as good as versed in reading, but that parent showing support and being there and saying, "Hey, what that mean?" Because sometimes our kids nowadays know a little bit more than our parents who may or not have had that support and didn't see the value of that. So just being the kind of parent that would be willing to be open to any possibility to increase their reading and comprehension, and even if it's just coming from their child, and the child seeing that makes it a family affair, not just you do this. That's what I would do.
So to sum it up, it's the example, it's being there, and it's the support.
Right.
Michael, this has been an amazing interview, and I really appreciate you blessing us with your time, your knowledge, and your expertise.
Thank you so much. I'd love to do a workshop with you. I'm going to tell you right now.
Hey, well, let's get together. Who
All right.
knows? And how about it? One of these days, your poetry slam, let's record and bring it on the show so people can see how much fun you have, not only with your reading journey, your writing journey, but how you've been elevating the poetry community and you as an actor.
I would love to do that. You have it. As soon as I get some assistance with the technology.
Greetings and blessings. My name is Mike Guinn, and I am a motivational speaker, poet, and author. And I would love to be able to bring the best of what I do to you.
Well, that was our guest, Michael Guinn. He is an amazing person, and he cares about our community. Now, as a parent, if you're struggling reading, they have literacy workshops at most of your local libraries. If you don't have your GED, this would be a good time to go back and get it. I know as a parent, you work hard and we're all stressed for time. But an hour a day or an hour every other day to work on you. And when your kids see that, they see that you're striving for excellence, they're going to follow your good example. Thank you so much for joining me on this edition of The Importance and Power of Reading. We'll see you next time. You know what's going on in our society, book banning, and over 38 million children don't have books in their homes. Join me for some exciting segments as we talk about the importance and power of reading with my guest, Dr. Tonya Farmer, aka Dr. Knows Best, on the PIC TV network, channel 1000.